In this session, I want to talk about performance reviews and something I like to refer to as performance snapshots as a much better way. When I think about performance reviews and all the businesses that I've started and clients that I've worked with over the years, traditional performance reviews is not an experience that most team members or most leaders really look forward to. I mean, there's some really good ones that happen, but I think it's actually less than probably 10% of the time where the leader and the team member being reviewed walks away saying, wow, this was just an incredible experience. With performance snapshots, they walk away virtually 95+% of the time saying this was really, really good. In fact, I've yet to hear a bad experience going through that. But before I get into it, what are the issues with traditional performance reviews? And the way I think about it, it's hard when everything's moving really fast and we've got new team members coming on board and there's lots of pressures doing the job for leaders to be ultra clear about what's expected from every single team member. And then what ends up happening is team members are doing what they think is best for the organization and their role. And they get to the performance review and they didn't get all the information. And the boss will often deliver that information at the time of the review that was missing before. And so there was an alignment of expectations. The team members often frustrated, the boss is frustrated. And then every 6 months or whatever that interval is, they sort of rinse and repeat. It's not really a great cycle. The performance snapshot, on the other hand, everybody knows what's expected 100% of the time, and they know where they stand 100% of the time. So we're just taking a snapshot in time of exactly where they're at, so we don't have any of those issues. And there's some foundational things required to have in place so you can set performance snapshots up for that particular experience. And typically there are 3 goals, with few exceptions, for every team member going through a performance snapshot. There's their team's most important number goal, which is a shared goal. And the most important number, the way to think about it, if you have a team, and that team is designed to create value, as all teams should be, what would be the one number that's most reflective of the value the team's creating and will drive the majority of the right behaviors? So that's the number. And everybody's setting in a role, doing their best work together to continually improve on that number to create more value as a team over time. So the first goal is shared. It's a most important number goal, and that can change depending on what the function is. If it's marketing, it could be qualified leads generated. If it's sales, it could be profitable sales closed. If it's operations, it could be gross profit. I mean, there's a number of things that it could be. So that's the first goal. And then the second goal would be the outcome-based responsibilities that each team member has for their role. So this goal would be, how well are you achieving your outcome-based responsibilities? Typically, there's not more than 2 or 3 that go into this composite goal, rarely 4, but 2 or 3, and they're measurable. And on these outcome-based responsibilities for a role, it's good to define how they're going to be measured when you onboard the team member. And the conversation goes something like this: hey, welcome to the company. Your role is to accomplish these things, and here's how we're going to measure them. And what do you think? Is this possible to hit these goals? Let's say there's just one for sake of conversation here, and you draw a line. We're going to start here. We're going there. Do you think you can hit that or beat it over time? And the team members almost always will say, well, yeah, of course I can do that. And then be really clear about what would happen if this wasn't going to work out. And not all team members get hired into a role that's a perfect fit for them, capability or culture. But let's say you've got one line for what the plan is and how they're going to be measured. And you've got another line that you could say, if at any point in time we fall below that, this won't work. But man, we're so happy and appreciative that you tried. But we'll find something else for you, either in the organization or help you find another job. What's wonderful about that conversation is that if it happens where they don't actually perform and they fall below that line, nobody's surprised, and it's not personal. Hey, we gave it a shot, et cetera. And I will say that when you really define the outcome in a very clear, measurable way, of the 10 people that an organization might have to let go because of poor performance, I think you saved 7 or 8 of them in my experience because they were very clear on what the expectations were. So that clarity causes a lot more team members to be successful, at least into the solid middle performing category than you otherwise would have. So those are our first 2 goals. You got the most important number, you have the outcome-based responsibilities goal. And then the third goal is culture. And on the culture side, are they living the culture? Do they fit the culture? Are they reinforcing the culture? And so it's kind of important to have an intentional culture defined. A real simple way to think about it, what are the attitudes and behaviors that cause the most value to be created within your organization? You could just start with that. You could have a more robust set of alignment tools like a mission and a vision and a purpose, a quality policy, a set of leadership traits, behaviors, values. You can do that. I encourage you not to make it too complicated. Once you have your set of cultural alignment tools, from there, just define the criteria of how each team member would be scored around those alignment tools during a performance snapshot. So, one is you're living the alignment tool and you have examples of where you're applying each one of them to create value, mission, behaviors, for example. You're encouraging others to live the alignment tools within your organization. And based on those things, and you can make the criteria whatever you want, but keep it straightforward, really simple, intuitive, easy to understand, then you come up with a rating for the culture goal. So for each of the team members, they need to be clear on the value their team's designed to create. They need to be really clear on the value that their role was designed to create and stay on track for that in a measurable way and be part of the culture, reinforce the culture, improve the culture. And that sets up the 3 goals in there. So foundationally, we all have to do the work to be really clear on what we expect. And it's always interesting to me, and it's funny and it's not, where, hey, the team member was let go because they didn't do what I didn't tell them to do that I wasn't aware of until we did the performance review. Then I was aware. It's like, wait a minute, we have to stop all of that. And there's not one more responsible than the other. If the leader wasn't clear and the team member was happy just moving along, taking a paycheck, not knowing what value they were creating and aware of it, both parties should be driving to alignment there. The leader should be clear on it. But if I work for somebody and they're not clear on what's expected, it's also on me to go to them to say, I need clarity around this so I can create the most value possible for the organization and work through that. And it's super important to get that right. And I hear a lot of times that, it's always the leader's fault when it doesn't work out. No, I think it's both. We're all adults and we want to create value. We're working together. So, let's take equal responsibility on both sides of this. And then the evaluation process during a performance snapshot, it's team-based, which a lot of folks would say, oh my gosh, we really can't do that. But every single time, and I've been through hundreds and hundreds of these, everybody really likes it, and it's so cool. So what I mean by team-based is performance snapshot, one team member's up, and the other team members, or at least a number of them that they work with, will be in the room, and we're looking at the most important number for the team or how the team creates value. Well, what are the things that you did really well to contribute to us achieving our most important number? And what are the opportunities to do even better in the future? Like, where could you create even more value in supporting that? And what I love about that is that when the manager's in the room with all the other team members, almost everything comes out. It's hard for one person to remember everything, but the team always remembers everything. And as they're bringing stuff up from the other side of the table, more things are popping up in your head around areas that they've knocked it out of the park and areas where, hey, we just adjusted this a little bit, it could create a lot more value. And then when they get to their role, and these are your outcomes that you're responsible for in playing your part in this team to achieve our most important number, we dig into those and we get a lot of feedback there too. What did you do really well? Did you hit the number? Yes and no, or no? And are there opportunities to create even more value? So you get that feedback from the entire team. And then on the culture side, it really drives cultural alignment. What do we mean by all this stuff? If I'm living it, what are the measurable examples I have of creating more value, either material value, emotional energy value, or connectedness value in that spiritual category. And we get to capture all of it. So now imagine you've finished this process. You've gotten a lot of supportive and developmental feedback from the entire team. The entire team knows where your strengths and weaknesses are. And so whenever there's any sort of an issue or an opportunity, they will reach out to help spontaneously, usually. They know who to reach out to get help. So it just brings us a lot closer together. And we're all in this together as a team to create more value. So the performance snapshot process, it really works significantly better because of the team approach and the clarity around expectations. And from my experience, when you take this performance snapshot approach, it really transforms in an amazing way traditional performance reviews.